Hey everyone, you may know me as Cynthia Loyst from The Social, but what you might not know is that I used to be a smoker. That's why I'm proud to be a part of Quitting Made Real by Nicorette, a new 6-episode podcast series I'm hosting featuring inspiring conversations with notable Canadians about their journeys to quit smoking. Quitting smoking was honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made, and it's possible for you too with the right tools and support. To find out more and to listen now, go to nicorette.ca/quittingmadereal.
Welcome to The Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Nobody told us you're all going to be so gorgeous today, so thank you so much for being here, everybody. Well, we're going to start with a bit of a serious story because there's pressure that is now rising for Canada to ban Irish rap group called Kneecap and British punk rap duo Bob Vylan from performing here in Canada. So, Kneecap, okay, they are known, I didn't know who they were. So, Kneecap, they are known for their pro-Palestinian views, and footage circulating shows Bob Vylan leading chants like death to the Israeli Defense Forces and other things. Critics are saying that comments like that are hate speech. And supporters, though, are arguing that banning shows is censorship, and artists are advocating for their right to speak up against the war in Gaza. So, are they right to be concerned about freedom of expression here in Canada?
Yeah.
Big. It's big.
I think it's an interesting thing because I do believe that artists should have the right to protest war, this war in particular, or any of the 113 armed global conflicts going on in the world right now. But things get interesting here in Canada because we're quite different from the United States and their First Amendment law protecting free speech on account of our hate speech laws, right? So those hate speech laws that we have aim to balance freedom of speech with the need to protect vulnerable groups. And so these bands are arguing that they're cheering for Hamas or waving Hezbollah's flag or encouraging fans to kill their MPs was taken out of context. They're saying, no, this was satire, or that they were handed the flag and they thought it was a prop and wasn't too sure what it was. But I can understand why politicians and lawmakers would not want to gamble on that, would not want to take them at their word, given our stricter framework for hate speech.
I mean, I think we can all agree that saying, like, even as satire, like, kill, fill in the blank here, is a dangerous area to go into because people
It's actually illegal.
There we go.
That is actually the definition of hate speech.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then I think I juxtapose that with the need for music. And right now, there's a lot of rage out there in the world. There's a lot of anger, and it's justifiable. And I don't think people know where to channel it. And so what art does, good art, is it speaks to that. It speaks truth to power, and it also gives artists a place to channel their rage. And this is certainly not new. The protest song has been around forever. I think about Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, Killing in the Name Of by Rage Against the Machine, which, killing in the name, like, it has killing in the name in the title. So there is a violent aspect in reaction to it. So, but if you tease that out, I just think that lately, over the past few decades, I don't know about you, but I feel like I haven't seen a lot of rage in music. It feels like everything's been kind of like,
And it's all online. I don't need to have it in music because it's
Sanitized.
everywhere.
Maybe that's true.
Because it's in the comment section of
Yeah.
everybody's post.
It's true. But I think there are ways, and we should not want artists to not speak out because I think
Absolutely
that they
not.
need to. I think it's just about the ways in which, but it gets complicated, right? Because
Because if they take sides.
Exactly, or if people feel like they've incited violence directly to people. I think that's
These
where-
concerts are sold out in Canada, and I think whether there's a ban against them or not, people are going to be outraged. And I think that speaks to the divisiveness of this conflict.
This is a very delicate subject, and I want to be very careful with what I say because I don't want to upset people, but I do want to draw attention to something because, and don't mind me if I look at my notes because I don't want to get this wrong. You mentioned Marvin Gaye and John Lennon. I think when we think about musicians kind of changing the temperature or saying the thing that we're all thinking about, we think about those types of songs that everybody can sing along to and feel good about. But then there have also been musicians who talked about injustice and they didn't touch on the subject. They really kind of punched it in the face. And I was growing up a huge fan of hip hop, and I will never forget the song by Ice-T. He was actually part of a heavy metal band called Cop Killer. This song back in 1992 was a protest anthem in response to ongoing police brutality and systemic injustice in the Black communities. For context, in Los Angeles at the time where he was living, there was the Rodney King beatings, there was the LA riots, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And the song sparked one of the most explosive media controversies in music. The president at the time, who was George W. Bush, and the vice president, Dan Quayle, along with law enforcement, wanted this song pulled and banned. I understand, you could understand when you hear the song, the title Cop Killer. But Ice-T framed the song as a form of musical self-defense and a character-driven story and not a literal call to violence. Now, this song also sparked a lot of conversation, which I think is what this band is trying to do, which is highlight what's really going on, because this is a band with a song. What's going on in the world is much more dire than a band with a song, which I think this is what the conversation that we're having right now. And I think it's not lost on me that while we're talking about freedom of speech and trying to ban people and what they want to say and the freedom for an artist to say something, the song I just talked about came out almost over 30 years ago.
Wow.
And here we are today still having the same conversation.
Yeah.
So that's not lost on me. So that was the first thing that I thought about when we discussed this.
What do you think, Mel?
Yeah, listen, I go back to the laws. We do have freedom of expression in this country, and we do have hate speech laws, and I'm really, really glad that we do. I think with this band, as I said off the top, I don't know who they are. I think probably most of us don't know who Kneecap is. Their fans know who they are. And if you know who they are, and I just did this much of a deep dive, they're from Ireland. They are very much these, they tout Irish republicanism. They are very much against their anti-British rule. Their own history is rooted in speaking up against anti-colonialism. They are an anti-colonialist band. So when they are now talking about the issues that are happening in Gaza, yes, like you said, there is an outlet because there's a lot of rage. But when I look at the laws and I was trying to decipher what can you say and what can't you say, you cannot incite violence or ask people to do harm to an identifiable group. That's illegal. We can all agree to that. Nobody should be allowed to say that. But what is freedom of expression? Well, freedom of expression allows you to say things. And one of the defenses that this is actually freedom of expression and not hate speech is that, well, can you point to a truth? The headlines coming out of the Middle East are dire. They are dire. You have 50 hostages that are still in captivity. You have 55,000 Palestinians who are dead. There are real headlines that you can say is identifiable truths. So are they inciting violence, or are they speaking what you can actually just Google and find from numerous mainstream news sources? Because the law will protect them if they can say, well, this is what the news says, this is what's being reported, United Nations, Amnesty International, et cetera. So I think in this country, if we do believe in freedom of expression, the band should be allowed to perform. But you should also be able to protest.
Oh, absolutely.
That they are here saying those things.
I don't think
both things can be true.
I don't think any of us disagree on that absolutely the right to protest. But what happens, this is where it gets tricky. What happens, whether satire or not, they're waving a flag of a terrorist organization.
Was that recently? Because my thing, I had read that was.
But doesn't that give cause for concern for lawmakers and politicians here? What if they, even if it was a year ago, even if it was a year and a half ago, even if they're saying it's satire, I don't know if politicians and lawmakers want to gamble on that. Want to be like, okay, yeah, sure.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, to be clear, I've not heard of any politicians here saying that they shouldn't be allowed to come.
No.
It is community groups, et cetera, that are saying right now they should not be allowed to come. So as it stands, they're coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
As it stands,
And they're sold out.
They're sold out.
And they're sold out.
And I think there are people who are also just saying this is a grand distraction.
Right.
That getting
From the real
angry
issue.
at a band who barely any of us have heard of right now, who have this following, are distracting us from actual real harm that is going on in this area of the world right now, and politicians who aren't standing up and making change, although our government is starting to speak on it now.
Yeah. Where are single ladies at? Raise your hand. We got single ladies? Okay. We got a few. Loves it. Loves it. Love you. Oh my gosh. The New York Times is reporting that women are so fed up with dating men that there's a term for it. Heterofatalism. The belief that heterosexual relationships are doomed to fail. So what do we think about this idea of heterofatalism? Do you agree? Yeah. I I'm dying to know.
The men are very quiet in the audience. Very
They're
quiet.
like, what did we walk into today?
I
Wow.
definitely do not agree. I think this is a really cynical take on relationships, and it makes me a little bit sad. Listen, don't get me wrong. I have had conversations after a fight, and maybe we can just speak amongst friends, but like with my girlfriends sitting around where you're like, oh my God, I would just love to just like either start dating women right now and like forget about men, or move into a village with just women and like, you know, like Golden Girl style, and you know, have some gay friends come over and like whatever. You just do your own thing. But that, like, I think the bottom line is that relationships are hard. And like, that's the thing. No matter what, full stop, relationships are hard. So to pin this all on men or heterosexual relationships, I think is just like.
But wouldn't you agree? Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard. The three of us I know have been in very long-term relationships. It's not all roses. It's not. Yeah. No, I don't mean to point you out. What I'm saying is, no.
Relationships are hard. Dating is even harder, baby.
Yes, no, you're right.
The dating to find the
My
man
point
who's going to
is-
stress you out is even harder.
But my point here is the idea that you're right. Relationships are hard, but what I think the culture allows is the idea to even have the word heterofatalism seems to be okay. Some people might even giggle at it because it seems to be that our culture is okay with us kind of male bashing. Our culture is okay with us saying, well, the stereotype is all men are cheaters, they're all lazy, and they all just want to find the next young hottest thing. And I think that I have a really big problem with that. I really, really do, because a lot of men in my life that I know are not that. And I think our culture is okay with like male bashing. So the idea of heterofatalism, it almost makes it sound like we women, while we know we're fabulous, we are not perfect. But it's almost like when stuff goes down in a relationship, it's very easy for the culture to accept that it must be always the male's fault, as if we are perfect, and we are not.
Andrea, what do you think?
Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you asked me that question, Jess Allen. I'm going to take this one. Okay, so hear me out. I think that for heterosexual women, a man can be your greatest pleasure. You meet the right person, it can create a whole family and generations, and can be wonderful. But also for women, if you meet the wrong person, this could be the worst thing that ever happened to you. And it's very complex, and we cannot forget that women are disproportionately affected by intimate partner violence and sexual assault. 88.8% of women experience sexual harassment via dating apps, ranging from unsolicited explicit content and in-person harassment. And let's not forget, we can even go lighthearted and be like, there's a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? This is a group that's across cities. You guys see how the women are nodding? This is a Facebook group across North American cities where women are like, I dated this guy, I'm putting his face out there just so another woman doesn't have to go through this. Or are we all dating the same dude? So when you have those types of experiences, and then we have our own individual experiences, but at the same time, society and friends and moms and aunties are expecting us to still be hopeful and effervescent about meeting the love of our life. It's a little bit of a push and pull. It's like, we know that you want the best for her, but it's a very complicated situation. So I don't think it's so much that men are all bad. It's just really hard out there to find decent people, and it's unsafe. Like when I go on dates, I don't think any of my male friends, when they go on a first date, I'm gonna point out Coco. Coco's in here, he's dating. I don't think Coco has to do this. Coco's gonna, Coco's, okay. Here's, come out here, Coco.
Look at him. Look at him.
Right? By the way, ladies, he's single, available, and a very lovely man. But I'll tell you the difference. When I go on a first date, I have to text one of my friends or family to be like, here's who I'm going out with. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours, this is his name, this is his phone number, this is where I met him. When Coco goes on a first date, Coco, do you ever have to do that?
Okay, wait a minute.
So there's a reality of that.
You took the word fatalism very literally, and I respect that. I do understand that. In this article, the author wrote, this is a quote, "The men I want are not wanting me badly enough, not communicating with me clearly enough, not devoting themselves to me." And that to me, I was
Well,
just
that's
like,
one woman's take.
I know, but that's, she wrote the article.
I
so
get
I was
you.
just like, it sounds like you're expecting something out of like, I don't know,
Fairy
rom-com.
tale?
Or like, A Court of Roses and Thorns or whatever. You know, like this is not a relationship. So to me, I don't know, one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in my relationship early on, that early stage of my relationship with Jason, was I said, like, are you gonna love me forever? He's like, I don't know.
At least he was honest.
And at the time I thought, like, oh, that's a very unromantic thing to say, but it was actually a level set of like, you know, relationships are work. You have to work at them. You both are constantly changing. And I think that what a lot of women, straight women, are going into is having completely irrational expectations about what a relationship to look like. That doesn't mean you shouldn't expect good communication. That doesn't mean if you negotiate it, you shouldn't expect commitment. But there's a lot of stuff that is expectations based on like
a fairy tale, but we were also sold bad fairy tales.
That is true. That
But
is
then
true.
there are also a lot of men who are pretending to be in relationships and be in love with women, and they have several women on the go at the same time.
I don't know any of those
And
men.
I know those
I
guys.
don't know
You know
any
what?
of
But
those
you've
men.
also been
guys.
off the market for a very long
But I
time,
have
my
lots of
friend.
male friends.
It's
Sorry,
been-
you go.
No,
You
no,
go.
no.
It's been
That's
decades.
what I said. Like, it's not that I don't believe you, but it's hard for me to reconcile the guy friends I have in my life with this story. Like, I can't imagine that they would be that different as a friend versus as a partner.
Let me clear that up. I always knowing a man as a friend, a platonic friend, and being in a relationship with him can be two very different men.
Really?
Thank you. Two very different people.
Okay, maybe
I don't think
So-
men are smart. I don't think men are smart enough to be Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh,
Like,
really?
to have two different
You know what?
personalities.
Leave Simon and come to the dark side and find out for yourself, my friend. You will find
maybe
out.
there is a middle ground. Like, listen, what we do know about women and the feminist movement is that over the last 50 years, maybe less than that, maybe 30 or 40 years, something has shifted between the genders. It's true. We are graduating university at higher numbers than ever. We are finally getting those jobs. We are
buying houses.
We are financially independent. There has been a massive gender reckoning that has been long overdue because history is patriarchal. We've always been at the bottom of the ladder. So is it possible that there's a middle ground in this conversation? Women have we have evolved leaps and bounds from where patriarchy has oppressed us, and have men been able to catch up and keep up with that change? That's a fair question to ask, but does that mean that all men are Neanderthals?
No. Here's it. We're not saying that they're Neanderthals, but if you could stop sending those unsolicited pictures of your genitals, that would be a step in the right direction. I'm not asking for much.
Fair.
You don't have to have the down payment. Just stop doing that stuff. Right?
Well, listen, we are teaching you life lessons here on the social. Life lessons. British singer Charli XCX, she got married over the weekend, and she joked on TikTok that she would leave her new husband, George Daniel, if he didn't cry seeing her walk down the aisle. Okay. I love that that's the video she chose for that. Anyway, so is it important for you to see your partner cry when you walk down the aisle?
You guys are not on it? Okay, I'm gonna blame TikTok for this one, right? I'm also gonna blame the way that wedding ceremonies are all set up. Now, hear me out. How many times you've been just doom scrolling on your phone and then you come across a video of a couple you do not know, and this guy is standing there with his best friends, and he's all suited up, and he's waiting for the love of his life to walk down the aisle, and then you see him, she comes out, and he falls apart. Like these videos, right? Where it's like, look, these men, look at,
Oh my
look
God,
at that.
I'm gonna start crying right
Look
now.
at this, bawling. And then you think to yourself, when I get married, if my husband does not fall apart, then it's not true love. It's because of these videos of watching men cry.
Can I just say you're assuming the precise meaning of the cry? Like you're assuming that the meaning of the cry.
Wait.
Oh, you can see where I'm going with
Okay,
this?
here's the deal. But Cynthia, wait, but this is what I'm talking about.
A lot of other takes. Well, oh my God, this is the most beautiful woman in the world. Oh my God, I can't
Or is it
believe I'm
my
marrying
life
her.
is over?
But it could be my life is over. It could be I'm hungover. I'm exhausted. I can't even believe it. This is gonna be the longest day of my life. I can't believe that conversation. Your mother-in-law, or my mother-in-law is gonna drive me crazy. There are so many different takes.
You are so pessimistic.
No.
I think it's also the way that the bride is presented, even the music. Like the music is normal until she comes out. So I think it lends itself to him having some kind of reaction, and we're all sitting there as, you know, friends of the family, and we're just kind of like waiting for him to have that emotion. So if he doesn't give us tears, we're like, this isn't real. I think that's also part of it.
Did you guys cry at your wedding? Or
You know
did
what?
your
I was
partners
trying to
cry?
remember, but not only did I not cry, Ryan is a joker. You guys know him. He's such a jokester. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I have a moment when we were exchanging vows. And was he crying? I don't even remember. And then I looked and I remembered and I had to ask him. And no, look at us. We were giddy little kids.
Aww.
We were giddy little kids. And I got to tell you something. We were both so excited that day. We were just so excited. We just couldn't stop giggling. And Ryan's not a crier. And even though my eyelashes are falling off right now. But it's also not him, right?
Yeah,
Do I have it on my lip?
No, I can't see it. No,
Your eyelashes are there.
You're fine. You're
I
fine.
know you're part.
Your eyelashes
Falling
are there.
apart, guys.
Yeah.
It also, you have to know your partner. Ryan's not a crier. He's not an emotional guy. It would have shocked me for the wrong reasons if he started crying. I would have been like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I think you have to know your partner. And also, you don't know backstory. Like, some of those guys could be crying. What if their wife has just come through an illness and she survived? And now, there could be so many stories. So for us, it wasn't a thing. But I'm not going to, like, Charli XCX and be like, you out unless you cry.
Jason does cry at everything. Like, he will cry.
Wait, he cried at everything but the wedding?
Yeah, he didn't cry at the wedding.
No way!
I don't care.
Just nerves.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'll just go on record and say it. Our wedding day was not the best day of our relationship by any means. It was fine. It was a good day.
I
It
feel
was
like a lot of people
work.
say that.
He did cry when Jaya was born. We both bawled our eyes out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was a more
That's
intimate.
more-
yeah.
Would you want Simon?
You want Simon to cry when you guys get married?
Yeah. Or I want my money back. I have cried at every wedding I've ever been to, like as a guest, and so I suspect that I would also cry at my own wedding if I were ever to get married. And I really would
do it
want
for us?
Yes.
I
Get
would want
married already.
Simon to be like, oh my God, you're the most important person. I can't keep it in. I would want that, but it would be like an intimate wedding anyway. So I think it wouldn't be stressful.
Yes.
It'd probably be like 4 people.
Yeah.
So, or just be the 2 of us. So if he didn't cry, again, yes.
You'd
I
be
am.
upset.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Interesting. This should be an interesting one for any engaged couples watching the show today. Have fun at dinner tonight.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.